I know we're about to talk about the whole FTC stuff, but I'm not gonna lie, I had to, sit here and play the Archon quest, completed that thing, and while I'm not gonna go into particular spoilers of anything, I will just say a few things about it, right? And we'll make a video for this. But all I'm gonna say is that Ryan daughter, you are a lot more wilder than what I originally thought you was. Just completely. Right, that just ultimately how that just is. And there's a lot more to this quest that leads into a lot more wackier stuff that I am extremely hyped about. And just the fact that the item that we got at the end of said quest could very much lead into maybe potentially some new elements. It's kind of crazy. I'm just gonna say it. It's like a 9.5 quest. If it was, it would be better. Freaking actors would just get their asses back to voice and shit. But it is what it is, right? Well, again, we'll talk about it a bit later this week, hopefully. But just that shit was peak. That was a peak ass quest. Plenty of things to talk about. But when it comes down to it, though, I do want to talk about something that's actually pretty important, because this has to do with obviously me and you that probably played this game, and a lot of other people that's in America that plays this game. And that is the fact that the FTC has now put their neck on Genshin and decided to be like, you know what, we're about to put you in a damn chokehold now. Because what they're essentially is like really trying to do is try to cash in on these gacha games and, these loot box games and all this kind of stuff that kind of comes through that has to deal with money, obviously. Now, I don't have the fullest details. I know the fullest of details of why this all started with the FTC thing and how they cracking down on certain games that uses these type of loot box things, which Genshin really isn't a loot box thing, but they use it because, as an example, probably because of the whole, if you want to wish for things, you gotta get the Genesis crystals, and that's the real money, and you have to use that for currency in the game to get primo gems and stuff like that. And that's kind of like where that issue kind of arises from, what I remember someone saying. And basically the whole damn point is now they can't just sit here and just make you buy Genesis crystals so you buy what you need to be either A, lacking in funds of what you need, or B, now you're gonna basically be able to just buy what you want, but then you might be left over with something. But now with this patch came out and the FTC putting their neck on them, essentially you could just straight up buy 10 Intertwined Fates and just get whatever character you want to go get in terms of like wishing, right? What this does now, this patch has now give you the ability to buy straight up just 8 Intertwined Fate, or just straight up buy 10 of those things, so now you can get whatever wish you kind of want. That's what this is, right? And to be honest, I don't see that's a bad thing, right? I know for the company of Hoyo themselves, they'll very much view that as a bad thing because that's how they make their money. But at the very same time, this is not a bad thing, because let's be honest, this has been a scummy practice for quite a bit of time. As much as I do like, Genshin and Hoyo and stuff like that, I won't sit here and lie that it is a bit crazy that this is a tactic that they use, that really a lot of games use, right? Because this ain't really a Genshin thing by itself. This is like a lot of other games that use loot box and currency to that extent as well. Fortnite is no other exception to it, right? Because you gotta buy V-Bucks. You can't buy the amount of V-Bucks that you really would just need. You have to buy and overspend, a certain level of V-Bucks to get what you really need, so you can, buy a skin or a character or whatever. Now, for Genshin's case, you have to buy what, if you're going to pull for a character, now you buy for what it actually is worth to the T, and not extra shit on the side. Now you have that option. And again, it's all for the United States, but I do like that we have an option to just go get what we need, instead of just BSing around and just kind of doing all the weird shit when it comes down to it, But yeah, really, I feel like this whole issue kind of comes down to, people that, one, can't do math, and B, people that have really shitty children that just got their way to, spend their parents' money because they just had no concept of money themselves, or they just are greedy little assholes that literally go out their way just to ruin their parents' life, because why the hell not? That's what this shit comes down to, right? Because obviously the main focus of why they're doing this in the first damn place is because of a horse game. If you know, you know. If you don't know, look it up because it's kind of wild. But when it comes down to it though, that's literally what this started out as, like a horse game with the same type of overbuying and underbuying stuff as well that kind of comes into play. But the shittier part is that, you know, obviously kids are going to just go out and buy whatever the hell they want to because their parents is nowhere to be seen, and they're just assholes. They getting, you know, somebody getting cucked in like the other room because that's just how it is. But ultimately, that's the main focus, driving focus as to why this is going to be implemented, you know? But it's not just the fact that, you know, you can buy all that stuff straight up and figure out what you need just straight up into the game now. That's not the only issue, because now they're also going to hammer it down with verification of your age. Essentially, and I assume, they're just going to make us who play Genshin, or probably going to play a lot of these online games, give them your ID, and then essentially you're just going to have to, you know, just deal with it. And that's how you're going to purchase stuff in the game and just play the game maybe too, and all that sort of jazz. How that's gonna work out, no effing clue. I would rather not give, you know, an ID out to a game just to play it, just to buy stuff from it when I feel like it, because I think that's a little horse shit. I'm not gonna lie. But in Genshin's whole case, what really can they do? But I'll be the first one to say, is giving like your ID out just to play a game really wacky? Yes. Do I feel like it's also unnecessary? Absolutely. Is it the most egregious thing have I like ever heard to give out an ID for? No, not really. But at the very same time, I would still rather just not give my ID out to literally any and everything if that's the method of verification they're gonna go from, right? It just, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense as to why they need to do this in this sort of way. But at the very same time, it's just kind of like, well, it most likely will happen, so it is what it is sort of situation, right? Again, this issue really comes from people that can't control their children from, you know, not buying something or not paying attention to your children at all. And I'd probably even argue people that just are heavy spenders, right? People that somehow fall under gambling addictions and then they just end up being in a shitty situation because they can't be responsible for 5 seconds, which I'm not gonna lie, and maybe I might be insensitive by saying this, but I don't see how the hell you have a gambling addiction. Maybe it's because I'm broke as hell half the time, but when it comes down to it, it's like I don't see how people can spend so much money trying to gamble for something that you know you're not gonna win or have a very slim chance of winning, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I've been to a casino 2 times in my life before, maybe 3. But at the end of the day, I have never felt like, oh, I need to, you know, do it again one more time and I can get this. I never felt that, because we know how, you know, casinos are. Their shit's rigged. Them shits is rigged. You have a better chance at pulling a character in Genshin than you have in literally going to win $1 million in the casino. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. That's just how it is, right? I don't understand why people are so compulsive when it comes down to, you know, gambling. I never understood that. Again, I might be the insensitive asshole here, but I never got that, right? Just don't spend money. It's not that hard. Or at least for me, it's really not that damn hard when it comes down to it, when I do get it, because a lot of time I can't spend on anything I really wanted anyway. But my point is, though, it's just the fact that this is definitely going to be changing the game for, you know, a lot of Americans, right? And this is definitely just really just showing you that, yeah, that they're gonna pretty much, you know, hold these online games hostage in this sort of way. And again, it has this good quality to it, because it is like, yeah, we would rather just purchase what we need to purchase and then call it a damn day, and that's fine. But at the very same time, there's also elements to this where this can necessarily be, you know, used against us and used against the games in a way where it's unfair and things sort of like that, right? And I only imagine they're doing this to Genshin because it's the game of all games that is on the online space, right? It's the game that people will not shut up talking about, which that makes sense. But at the very same time, I hope this shit doesn't just, you know, try to hold Genshin hostage or Hoyo hostage by themselves, because I need to see this shit happen to like people, you know, if they have it like an Overwatch or like a Fortnite and things like that. Don't let this be just some Eastern shit and they just do this to Eastern people because, oh, it's an Eastern game, you're not in the West like that or whatever, and essentially try to hold them because of just xenophobic ass nonsense, because you know they will do that. And hopefully this will just target a lot of other games too. Most likely it will, because this is a European thing first, and now it's going to spread across the whole lands of lands, and that's kind of how certain things happen. Like, that's why we have USB-C ports and whatever. But at the very same time, I really hope this just hits a lot of other games to do the same damn thing. Again, not a fan of the whole ID part on our part to kind of just make a purchase if that's what we want to do. But at the very same time, it does put power in the hands of consumers, which is nice. But, you know, maybe not the ID part, at least for me, right? That's just kind of how it is. Overall, I'm not the best person to kind of talk about this shit, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm kind of confused. Also, I'm not gonna lie, when I was trying to look up this stuff earlier, I end up getting spoiled on the Archon quest, so I end up seeing what happens to a certain somebody getting somebody, right? That's just how it is, and I was pissed off about that, so I had to play the quest early, and I couldn't look up any information. So I don't know if what I'm saying in this video is completely agreeable, but hopefully it makes some type of sense, because not only was I spoiled on the Archon quest, was spoiled on the next character, which we all know who the hell it is, and she looks mystical as hell, and I'm super hyped for that character, as you can clearly tell by how much I'm screeching while my tone of voice when it comes down to the hype levels of things. I have never been this hyped so far in a long time, so it's nice to see the hype returning in some shape or form, right? But overall though, would like to not get spoiled anymore about certain things, especially by seeing the verse, because if I see the verse, I'm gonna burst someone's ass cheeks. But you get the point. But that's essentially, I guess, all I wanted to say about the FTC part. Again, there's other things that we gotta discuss later this week. I don't know if it's gonna be either today or whatever, but we'll see. But yeah, that's all I really want to say. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on the way out. Also follow me on socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi Cash App is available as well. And let's still do this. Your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.